Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are crime dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 3 premiere of Hightown. Great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, I got blindsided by this because I had no idea the season had already just started. I mean, it's only been a couple days, but I had no idea. But it's dropping on Friday, so gotta keep that in my head going forward. But either way, so we're not picking up immediately in the aftermath of season 2. I kind of figure we wouldn't be, but it seems like maybe we're doing real time how much time it's been between season 2 and 3, but because Scarlett's born and Renee was like, she wasn't really showing at the time, so I'd say we're definitely like a couple months, but it definitely feels like it's pushing at least a year since the season 2 finale. But first and foremost, I'll start off with Jackie's side of things. Jackie has not recovered from her spiral. Obviously, no one is the wiser about her circumstances. She's been on desk duty this entire time. In fact, this episode is her first day back off of desk duty. And I was like, there's no way, because when it's like, oh, she's been showing up clean, I was like, there's no way you're clean, because you literally woke up at the beginning of the episode. We didn't even have to see, like, the moment those kids found a body on the beach, I was like, it's Jackie. It's got to be Jackie passed out. Lo and behold, it was. She's missing her car, her keys, and her phone, and she doesn't know where her vehicle is. So it's like, oh, you're a hot mess, Jackie. You're a hot mess. So, like I said, let's stay with her circumstances. So, like I said, she's been spiraling. She even kind of like tries to like follow her footsteps to figure out like, okay, so where could I have gone? The last person she remembers hanging out with was Ron, but Ron's like, dude, the last time we hung out was like Friday. Are you telling me you don't remember the past? Like, you don't remember? That's 2 days you got missing. And she's kind of like, no. It's like, man, things must be really, really bad. Like, I don't know if she just kept spiraling so much she kept getting higher and higher and higher. I don't know if this has to do with the girl she was with that was getting her higher and higher. Like, because that seems like that's going to be Jackie's overall mystery this season. It's going to be figuring out like what the hell happened in those 2 days while covering up. Because if something happened to that girl, most likely it might. You just get the feeling, storytelling wise, it's going to tie into their investigation, and it's going to tie back into, well, what did Jackie do? What was her involvement? It's going to be hard to say because like the fact is like things are gotten so bad. I mean, to be fair, That's an important thing. I might have mentioned this last season, but the whole conversation of just because you hit rock bottom doesn't mean like you're gonna like, oh, everything's gonna be Gucci, everything's gonna be like, oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows going forward. It's like, no, hitting rock bottom doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you're gonna change things around, because Jackie's hit rock bottom multiple times and it hasn't quite changed anything. Like, she hasn't dealt with a lot of the underlying issues that have contributed to like all of this. Until she deals with that, this is going to be a continuous thing. Like, every time she has a setback, she relapses, and she hasn't, like I said, she hasn't cut out the root of all of that. So I do like her and Ron hanging out together because they talk so much shit to each other, because it's like it's a weird friendship. It's kind of a love-hate relationship that they have, but it could also like, because like Ron treats Jackie like she's one of the boys, so it's like they have like this very like bromance thing kind of going on too. So we catch up a little bit about the Leslie situation, because they showed it in the recap. Like, Leslie's like, oh, I want a new partner. Seems like things didn't work out for Leslie because she got demoted, but it seems like, oh, Jackie got punishment wise was being relegated to desk duty, but it seems like Leslie got demoted to like highway patrol, which I'm curious, are we going to see Leslie at all going forward? Maybe not. It is, it's got to, it is that self-preservation of everyone's out looking for themselves. Yes, she threw Jackie under the bus super hard, but it's not like Jackie, it's a mess of a situation. So it's like, I see both sides of it. Obviously, she's not meant to be the most like likable protagonist, because you're supposed to also feel sorry for her. I know there are people who have gotten to the point they're like, yeah, I'm tired of the rigmarole with Jackie. To me, I think that's just what makes it so real, of like, it's not that easy. Like, because Jackie tries to take the fast road and she thinks that's going to work. It's like, no, this is a lifelong struggle you're going to be dealing with, but she treats it like it isn't one. So, and like I said, until she deals with the even if she deals with the root problem, it's still going to be something she's going to deal with forever. But at least you'll have yourself more prepared and have the necessary tools to battle whatever you need. You keep like shortchanging yourself in a lot of ways. But either way. But Jackie trying to talk to Ron, and Ron threw the Leslie thing in her face. He's like, "Whoa, dude, you just trying to make me feel worse about myself?" Because this is after Jackie and Ron retrace her footsteps to a hotel where her and this random woman who she doesn't know who it is, like, were hooking up, making a whole bunch of noise, banging it out in the pool. And Ron is just an enabler, being like, okay, because he's like, yeah, the reason why I left you alone is because you asked me to hook you up with some coke, and that's where I drew the line. But it's like, hey, you're a bit of a downer, so here's some Molly. It's like, once again, he's an enabler because he likes to party, because he doesn't have that much responsibility. It's like, I'm doing, like, Marine-based, cop work, so it's not like it's not necessarily life and death. Obviously, she doesn't want to be around Ed because she knows Ed's going to give her like the spiel about everything, about her fucking up and everything. So, because like she doesn't like, especially where they were last season too, she doesn't want to disappoint him even further, considering everything that's kind of going down in that capacity. So. But I think it was interesting where she was just like, she's not getting the thrill of life and work. Like, none of it, like, she's trying to fill that void in her life, because that void for 2 seasons, that void in her life was Frankie. And now that that's kind of been taken care of, it's like, right, I have nothing to go for in life. That void is still there, and no amount of drugs and alcohol is filling it. I need a new white whale. Yeah, we're working on this New York case with the drugs, but it's like she had a personal connection with the Frankie stuff. Like, obviously that all set this all in motion for her. Like, it sent her down this path, and her own like association with the case is what I think helped compensate for some of that void, but it's just not the same. And so I think that's going to add even more to her spiral this season. Maybe not. She'll probably try to keep herself as clean as possible now that we got to the end of the episode, found her vehicle. But then I was like, are you going to find a dead body in your car? I was like, there's no way, right? Found a bloody t-shirt, though. Doesn't necessarily mean she did anything. Maybe the girl she was with got injured and Jackie helped her. But once again, it doesn't help when you've got 2 days completely gone. And then, like, now I'm also wondering, like, could this be a setup? Because you never know. This could be a long con where it's like, hey, this woman, like, got you extremely high and kind of messed with you and trying to set you up, and maybe nothing happened to her. Or it was a setup and something did happen to her, but maybe someone else did something to her just to kind of put it on you. Who knows? Like, once again, first episode of the season, I'm going to spitball my theories and just theorize about where this potentially could go. But yeah, I thought she was going to screw the pooch when, like, they got, like, obviously we'll get to Ray's side of things soon enough, but when he called her, because, like, yo, the team's got to get together for, like, this New York bust, I thought she was going to screw the pooch on that, especially when she was looking at the horse. I was like, dude, you were literally tripping balls. Not only are you're on Molly, you also, like, try to give yourself an upper with coke just to kind of keep yourself awake, because you need it. It's just like, everything goes wrong when it comes to Jackie. When it rains, it pours type of situation. But luckily, it all worked out on multiple fronts. It worked out for Jackie. It definitely worked out for Ray. Like I said, we'll get to Ray's stuff soon enough. But I'm so curious to see where things kind of go for Jackie this season. I was kind of thinking it partway through the episode. I was like, man, Jackie. I mean, it's like I was maybe halfway through the episode. I was like, I'm surprised we're not following Jackie as much. But to be fair, it's kind of like Jackie's kind of your lead. But really, the show's, when I think about it in retrospect, the show's always been a ensemble cast, but she's always kind of taken charge as, like, the lead character. But I think with so many, like, moving threads, especially at the beginning of the seasons, you got to pick up, like, what's happened in between season 2 and 3 and set up the threads of, like, where those threads are going this season, but also where these other new threads swerving are. Because let's go to Ray's situation. Obviously, they're trying to still go after Osito, but there's kind of no way to go after him considering everything. He's very smart. He knows how to keep himself sectioned off enough that there's nothing they can do. There's a murder this episode. It's someone associated with Osito, but it's also someone else he's doing business with. This dude Owen, he ends up killing her because she was basically dealing in his territory, rather his family's territory, because it's him and his uncle Sean, played by Garrett Dillahunt. I was like, it's my boy, which I was like, I was like, I've seen him like with the shorter like buzz and fade on the side, but I've never seen him fully like buzzed all around. So it's kind of wild seeing him with that hairstyle. I was like, my boy Garrett, that's amazing. I was like, I had no idea. Once again, this whole season blindsided me, so I didn't even know what to expect. But I'm like, that's super cool. So we're definitely going to be getting more Garrett Dillahunt this season, so I'm excited by that. But him and Osito are. Because Osito's like, yo, you need to rein Owen in. Him doing what he's doing is drawing unnecessary attention. Plus, they're the ones really pushing, I think, as Osito puts it, like the press pills. I think, like cutting it with fentanyl and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's 100% of what he's referring to when he says press pills. But it's like, yeah, like, because it's causing a lot more deaths. It's drawing a lot more unnecessary attention. So we don't like that. We don't need that. So... But Owen doesn't care. He's like, he kind of gives you, like, especially when he was swinging the bat and doing his thing at you, I was like, man, and this way he's talking and acting, I'm like, man, dude's giving me Jesse Pinkman vibes up the wazoo. I mean, Junior kind of did, but even Junior kind of gave me Jesse Pinkman vibes. I don't even think I correlated or even thought about that until just now. But Owen even more so gives me Jesse Pinkman vibes, even more so than Junior did, which is kind of wild to say. But either way. What I really loved is Ray and Alan running into each other again. You're like, oh yeah, like everything he can. You could just like see Ray, because Ray's got that shit eating grin, and you're just like, oh, you know Ray. You know if Alan had the opportunity, Ray, he would beat the ever living shit out of Ray. It's just like, oh, I hate your guts so much. I'm in my position right now because of you and your fuck ups, but I mean that Alan made his own fuck ups too, so. But, yeah, he's handling, obviously, things from, like, the homicide side of things. Because they're still trying to... He wants to get those maids that helped dispose of Jorge's body last season. But they're in Jamaica. And I think it's the district attorney. She doesn't really want to, like, push for that. She wants to find someone... state-wise that could help with the Frankie case. Because they've got one person that's just kind of... the bodies they help dispose of for Frankie, and it's like, granted, they're all trying to put Jorge on him, which obviously we know. He knows and she knows. Well, I think also Ray knows too, but he's not gonna lose too much sleep over Renee being responsible for killing Jorge. But only 3 people really know the truth, but everyone else thinks it was Frankie that did it. Because it's like, yeah, Frankie's not going to go around parading the fact that he killed his own cousin, so they're obviously coming at it from that standpoint. Which, speaking of Renee, and obviously this ties into Ray's story, balancing being a mom to 2. I wonder how those conversations are with Frankie Jr. Like, obviously, like, him and Ray got along just fine in season 1, but... where's that relationship now? Because I was like, I thought the kid be a little more upset because I was like, did you tell him about Frankie? But that's when I thought Frankie was dead. But it's like, no, Frankie's good and alive. Surprise, surprise. Which we'll circle to Frankie stuff soon enough. But with Ray and Renee in particular, she's kind of the stay-at-home mom, but you see that doesn't fit her. Like, it is a thing of you lived, you survived, you're out of the game, you're out of the mix of it. But there's a part of her that misses it because her time in the limelight, she didn't really get to enjoy it because that was hers. Like once you've reached the mountaintop, once you've had the crown, you don't ever want to give it up. And just for her, it's like she doesn't want to just be like a stay-at-home mom. When Ray referred to her as that, she looked so disgusted by that notion because it's like, no, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I'm the mama out there. I'm a boss. I can do shit. I was running shit for a while until that all kind of imploded last season, but. She even goes to Xavier's to ask Donna for a job. She's like, it's not like I want my old job back, but for her, it's also the thing of, it's something I'm good at. It's the only real job I've ever had, but it's just like, she likes the mix of the chaos, the danger of it all, but because also she was really good at it. We also catch up a little bit with Donna too. She's moved on. She's found a new guy. She's pregnant now. It's kind of sad when she's just like, yeah, it was better than my ex, and you're just like, oh, don't even say his name either. Just like, no, he's my. I get it. Like, there's a lot of complicated wounds associated with that situation. So, but it's just like that's only junior reference we're kind of getting, I'm sure. But yeah. But yeah, Donna like hires Renee when she's like, hey, I can run the girls for you and stuff like that. You could tell Renee's gonna like start making power moves, stuff like, yeah, I'm gonna run the girls, but that's probably gonna eventually turn into, hey, I'm gonna start pimping out the girls, or I'm gonna slowly but surely start working my way up the totem pole of this job until, because Donna currently has a assistant manager, but maybe Renee's gonna try and eventually snatch that job and eventually take Donna's job, because Donna's kind of been running things since everything popped off with Frankie last season. So I don't. It's just like I said, it is just a thing of you got out of the game, but you can take the player out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the player type of situation. And she couldn't walk away from it because it felt good to have all that power. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. And once again, she just didn't, probably felt like my time in the sunlight, I kind of had to be there to serve Frankie or Jorge. Like, I had to do stuff for other people. This is my opportunity to be free of all of them, to kind of do my own thing. I need to. I can't just be the stay-at-home mom. Because even with just Frankie Jr., she was able to be like, yo, she could still do her thing. She was doing all of this. And I don't think we see her dancing on the pole near the end of the episode, but I don't know if she ever plans to go back there. There is power with that, to be able to like entice people, draw them in, knowing you still got it, that you can, in a siren type of way, to kind of seduce people and gonna lead sailors to their death type of situation in a metaphorical sense. And obviously she's keeping this from Ray, just making it seem like, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with that mommy group. And it's like, Ray's not going to be too happy because, well, it's supposed to be that point of like, well, there's letting there be no more lies between us, which obviously there's still plenty already. But it's going to be the thing of you're getting mixed up in this place and you wanting something for yourself. Because Ray gets to live his life, which now that's going to start taking a complicated turn because Ray did such a good job with the bus, went above his boss's head to his boss's boss, to the major, and ended up making quite the impression. So they're going to move on to another case after the whole... Because I'm jumping around a lot because Ralphie got busted. Ralphie getting busted meant they needed to rush to take down his dad. That is his dad, right? Or was that his uncle? Because I know Owen and Shane are uncle and nephew, but I'm like trying to remember what... Ralphie's relationship to the Georges. I was like, that is his dad, right? Or is that his uncle too? I don't remember. But either way, because of that, they rushed to take George down, which they did, so it all worked out. But now they've got an undercover case, and now that's going to lead them to Shane and Owen, which is their backdoor way into getting towards Osido. So one of his lanes of drugs has kind of been, the kibosh was put on that, so they got to find a new supplier. I'm curious if Charmaine and her, I think that was her uncle too, right? Whether or not they're going to circle around, because they're still tied to Osido, so I'm curious, are they going to pop up at all this season? Because we saw them on the operation board back at the precinct. What was it? Operation Yankee Suck or something like that, I believe. But the reason why I was saying things were complicated, because we meet the cop who is going to be the undercover cop. Because at first I was like, you don't think he's going to try and get Jackie to do it? Because I was like, that'd probably be a mistake. Probably not. Even if you could, you probably don't want, like, they probably wouldn't want her on this, considering she only just got back to work. She's still in that, what's that phrase I'm looking for? She's still on probation in a lot of ways. Even though she's kind of past her probation, she probably still is. So they probably wouldn't be too quick to put, like, because that's immediately where my mind went. I was like, is it going to be Jackie? But no, it's going to be this Officer Keegan, who's just like fresh out of the academy, But it's like her dad is someone pretty high up, so he was able to talk to Ray's boss's boss and was able to get herself this position. But she made it clear too, like, oh, I know all about you, Ray, which I'm like, that sounds like a red flag in multiple ways. One, do not screw this up, Ray, which ultimately you are, because you are just as bad as Jackie. Like, everyone's got their issues, you know? But it's like, immediately you're like, okay, so you two are probably going to bang it out a couple times. That relationship's going to turn sexual or something. And it's like, right, not only are you going to be sleeping with the person that's under your charge, let's not forget you got screwed over by being with Renee, how that all blew up in your face. So you have that. Now you're going to do this. And now you're also, that's going to, because she's like your boss's, like, daughter, or at least like someone that's the daughter, because like she's like the head of the ATF is like her dad or whatever, or the ATF agent who's heading all of this is her dad. So you're just like, oh god, you know Ray's gonna screw it up. I'm seeing the red flags already, but because also she knows your reputation, so she might be aiming for that, or maybe that's Ray being like. Either way, her knowing your reputation, the fact that you have the reputation is already bad enough, but her knowing it too, like either something's going to happen between you two because you're a fucking idiot and you're going to do that, or maybe he's going to be a little cautious because like, well, she knows about me and I'm not trying to screw my job up. I just got this back. It's just like, yeah, it led to, Alan getting fucked over. So it has to be worth it. I have to keep this job for my own sake. He needs this work because just like Jackie needs it, he needs it too. It's their way of kind of keeping themselves focused and clean in a lot of ways, keeping themselves on the straight and narrow in a lot of ways. So I don't know. That's where I am with it. I'm curious to see where that storyline is, but where that storyline's going to go, but it's going to be all kinds of fucked up. So we'll see. I brought him up earlier, but Frankie we catch up a little bit with. Obviously, Osito's guy on the inside said like, no, I could have finished you at any point in time, but I actually feel bad for you, you piece of shit. So that's why I'm letting you live. So he's trying to make moves to get the case against him thrown out, but he doesn't really have the money for it, like the grease the palms and grease the wheels the way he needs to because all his assets were frozen, understandably so. So he's reaching out to some of his pen pals, one in particular, and then, it's like, I wonder how often does that happen? Like, obviously, you hear the big stories about, like, people being in prison, certain, killers or whatever, having pen pals, having little cults of their own based around that. But how often does that happen still nowadays? Probably still does. Like, there are some crazy people out there being like, oh, like, he's so this or that. It's like, you know who he is, what he's in jail for, but you're still interested. We meet Rachel, and Rachel's all about it, and it's like, well, he needs kind of a sort of sugar mama right now to kind of grease the wheels and like, oh, I need you to do stuff for me. Basically what Renee did, and he's kind of got her, unlike Renee, he doesn't really have Renee he didn't have Renee wrapped around his finger. Renee's too independent doing her own thing. She kind of played the role of complacent, but Rachel kind of is, like, she's willing to do whatever you tell her to, like flashing you, touching herself in front of you, and he's like, I'm gonna ask you to do some stuff, and she's like, okay, she's willing to do whatever it takes. Once again, to reach out to a drug serial killer and be madly in love with him already says you're not like the sharp, like not, you're not all there already. So it's gonna be interesting to see where that storyline goes. She is just a means to an end, sadly, because I think she's like legitimately in love with Frankie, but he doesn't feel the same. You're just a means to an end, and probably will not end good for you. Either you're going to get busted and he's going to force you to take the fall, or you're going to end up getting killed because of all this, or he's just going to straight up just leave you hanging in regards of, yeah, once he's done with you, once he's got what he's gotten, he's going to drop you like a sack of potatoes. Some very, very interesting developments right off the top at the beginning of the season. I'm excited to see where the season takes us. I did not watch the trailer for this, obviously. I'm not going to at this point in time since the season's starting to roll out. But I'm excited to see where things go and see how this all play out. This is a show of there's never going to be a happy ending. Like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's just all about how's the shoe going to drop, who's going to drop it, and how all this shit's going to implode, because it always implodes in some shape or form. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.